Oh, currently on other channels, people are talking over each other incessantly and yelling quite loudly. Meanwhile, here on Who's Views, it's JT and the Whotastic panel with your latest headlines.
Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome back to Who's Views. It's time for your headlines, and what a week it has been. Goodness me. Yes, you have heard the Consolidateds arrived, didn't they? The consolidated ratings for parts 1 and 2 of this new version of Doctor Who, Disney Who, RTDD2, Series 1, Series 14, whatever you're calling this. You know exactly what I'm calling it if you've been watching our review shows. But yes, it's all there for you. We're going to be talking about that. That's our main topic in this evening's headlines. So nice to see you all. Nice to see you. Nice. You're very welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we've got all that to get through. Plus, Doctor Who's going back to the cinema. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on as well. Plus, of course, we are going to be looking forward to the next episode, which is called 73 Yards. So, as I say, we've got a lot to get through. I am currently joined by third Dr. Ian because Paul is stuck in traffic, but he is on the way, Ian.
We'll just plough on until he joins us.
We will plough on because, of course, you know, we are all very good at ploughing on, especially when it comes to touching grass, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're all good in fields these days, aren't we, Who viewers?
Yeah, we're very back to nature. Very back to nature.
We really are. It's a bank holiday weekend here in the United Kingdom, so if you are watching us from the UK, what a way to kickstart your bank holiday weekend with us here at Who's Views. If you're outside the UK and you're thinking, what the hell is a bank holiday? It means that some very lucky people in some sectors of our industries here in the UK will get Monday off, so it's a 3-day weekend. Usually it was the banks and anything financial, but there you go. That's where that comes from. Listen, Ian, before we get cracking on the main subject, I want to say a huge thank you to absolutely everybody for getting in touch again this week. We have been deluged with messages and emails, and you know, thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. You know, I really appreciate it. And as I say, it might take me a little bit of time to get back to you, but I will get back to you eventually. If you want to get in touch with us on the email, it's whosviews1@gmail.com, whosviews1@gmail.com. And a lot of you have done that, and I really appreciate it. And I want to say hello to, and thank you to Penny Pitstop, Bubbles 2011-ish, Meddling Funk, Michael Webster, Matthew Burrows, Divining Dragon, RJ Andy 2, Lynn Hobney, Daniel, to Doug Sims, to Paul R, to Mark Milford, to John the Computer Doctor, to Tomboy007, to Just Jordan, to Time Tracks 353, Graham 70694, Harnois 75, to Josh Frowain, to Simon L, to Matt Matty, to Ron Sappy, and Theodore Benton. Thank you so much for getting in touch this week. I really appreciate it. And also, thank you, everybody, for all the very kind and wonderful comments about our latest chit-chat show, which was this one, Chit Chat with Jack M. It's done really well. A lot of people have watched it. Your comments have been really appreciated and received and forwarded to Jack as well. It was a pleasure to speak with Jack, and I'm so glad he came onto the show and told us about his anxieties and also his adventure with a certain showrunner, let's put it that way. But thank you all for watching that, and thank you all for the lovely messages aimed at Jack. And I'm just dead chuffed about that because it was wonderful to speak to him. And Jack, if you're watching this, well done, Mr. Rabbits.
I just finished listening to that today, and it was a really good chit chat. I would recommend everybody watches it, as well as subscribing. Everybody should watch that chit chat. It's really good. But that encounter with a certain showrunner did not leave that showrunner looking very good, I don't think.
No, and I can actually, hold on, look, Andrew, thank you as well. You know, as we said in the chit chat there, Jack was shocked because this was something he'd looked up to, because he was a young he was a lad, he was a young lad at the time, and then suddenly this person that he's been looking up to and idolizing to a certain degree comes back and says that sort of things to him. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It was appalling. I mean, if you look back at, say, JNT's era, for all it had, and it had its very, very high points and it had its low points, but it really did have its low points. But through all of it, JNT got a lot of slagging off, a lot of very public slagging off from some people that should have known better. But he always maintained a dignity. And I think even if social media had been around then, he would not have responded like that. He was the better person. Whereas here, and I know exactly what Jack meant, because growing up, Doctor Who, for him, it was a new series, meant a lot to him. It was, he said he was in a village, didn't he? So, not many of his age around. So Doctor Who was a big thing, and it was relied on in some ways. So what he got was very much a betrayal, because when Russell T Davies was younger, he would have relied on Doctor Who in the same way. We all did in a way.
Yeah.
And to respond like that was just, it's just scummy, really.
Yeah.
It showed him up for what he really is, I think.
It did. It really did. And we'd reported on headlines before about how he was responding to fans on his Instagram and therefore empowering other fans to do the same. So we're going to be looking at that in this particular show as well. But again, a huge thank you for everybody getting in touch. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all the fantastic comments, which Jack is aware of as well for our chit chat with Jack. Really, really appreciate that. Delighted to say that Paul has arrived. He's got through the traffic and he's with us.
Yay. Hello, did you miss me?
Oh, yes.
Where have you been?
Yeah, I bet you did.
Well, listen, before we get into this whole thing about the consolidated ratings chat, which is the main chat for our show tonight, guys, there is some stuff here that I've noticed that is aimed at Ian, Third Doctor Ian here. And we'll start with this one. Mark is saying, the rumour is Sean Pertwee is playing the Third Doctor in the last episode. I hope not. Keep Pertwee's legacy out of this garbage. And then Michael, hello, Michael. Ian, Third Doctor, I heard a rumour that Sean Pertwee has his dad's role in Empire of Death. Now, huge Pertwee fan is this one. You heard this rumour?
Have you got a bleep for this? Because he's going to swear a lot, I bet, yes. Okay.
This is going to sound a bit like, if you beep it out, it's going to sound like Morse code, isn't it?
Do the Norman Collie a bit.
Yeah.
I had heard the rumour, and I hope that the rumour was untrue. I know Sean Pertwee quite rightly holds his dad's memory and his legacy very dear in his heart, and he regularly wears the silver Roman ring that his dad had, and he showed it on Insta sometimes and things. And I would be very disappointed, because one, they won't give the Third Doctor justice, and just in the same way that really the First Doctor's been watered down a little bit when he came back and was actually in the series instead of just in an adventure in time and space. It was ridiculed in a way, and I just aren't confident that these jokers that are in charge of this thing that we laughingly call a series are in any way competent enough to reproduce the Third Doctor on screen. And they should just leave him, Hartnell, Troughton, Tom Baker well alone. And I think they'll probably be doing it to give validity to what is a really crappy iteration of this show. And I've got an awful feeling they will do it for that very reason. We'll put the Third Doctor in it because then they're bound to like it. No, we're not. I'm not happy with this thought at all. Not at all.
Well, fingers crossed it's just a rumor, but
hopefully.
stay with us here on Who's Views. Please subscribe to the channel. Please, come and join us every time we drop a show here, because as soon as we hear anything different, we will be here to talk about it, of course, because it is a dreadful thought. Because I personally think it might be a rumor, Paul, because it all came from this thing that they've put out there, just saying that something in Unit Tower from the Third Doctor's days is going to be sorted out, isn't it?
Bizarrely, apparently, there's all these rumors, and people put them up on credit sites for episodes, and anyone can edit, all these sites, and that kind of stuff.
No, it's terrible. Yeah,
it's bizarre because you shouldn't be allowed to do that unless you're in the business, in the profession to do that. But I read somewhere that these cinema screenings they're doing, apparently there's a catalyst on there, and Sean's on that. That's probably pure speculation from the cinema doing that, not actually a fact. But I agree with Ian. I think it's they'll just ruin Pertwee's memory. And I think Sean's got more respect for his father's legacy, as Ian was alluding to, and I think he won't do it. But I heard a rumour, if he is doing it, that it's will be done in flashbacks, which is even worse if they're going to do a flashback to Return of the Autons or something like that.
That would be ridiculous, because if you're going to do flashbacks, you've got the original episodes there, haven't you?
Well, that's it. But it's like, or between the big French do between episodes, between stories, there'll be a story between Claws of Axos and Mind of Evil or something like that.
Exactly.
But the point is, what I'm trying to make is that why are they doing it anyway? If they can't sell their own material, don't jot with everything else. Leave that alone and do your own thing.
This is series 1. Why do they need to go back to series 8, 9, or 10 or whatever? This is series 1.
They've mentioned Susan already. It's like God and Totter's Lane and stuff like that. God Almighty. Yeah.
There is no coherency to any of this, is there? I want to say hello to the Normie. Thank you for joining us. They're saying stink bombs bought for cinema time. That takes me back.
Idea.
That takes me back for a long time ago. So yes, but we're going to be coming up to that a little bit later on in the show. Hello and welcome to Domgo. It's nice to see you. Great to see you. And Digby gave us this lovely comment here. Excellent interview with Jack. It gave me hope for the future of fandom. Yeah, they're not all mad. They're not all mad, are they? But some of them are. Just also to let you know, how huge thank you to Kirsty and Garbage, who are in the chat looking after everybody. Big parts of the team in there. So nice to see them. Thank you both for being there. And also, let's have a look. We've got Just Jordan here. Evening all, watching with Dad, who's celebrating 57 years today. It was touch and go, but we've made it. Well, happy birthday,
Dad. You had heard,
happy birthday.
How are you, mate? Hope you're all fine and dandy and getting through this shocking series that we call Doctor Who. Because you're around my age, so yes, it's a culture shock, isn't it? In more ways than one. But happy birthday to you. It's lovely to see you, and thanks for letting us know there, Just Jordan, that your dad's 57. Lynn is joining us as well. It's 4 a.m. here in Japan, and I managed to get up in time to join. Well done, you.
Wow, fantastic.
Good effort.
You won't get me getting up at 4 a.m. to watch anything. Russell D. Davis. But thank you, Lim. Really appreciate it. It's lovely to see you. And I'm sorry, I can't believe that we still have somebody over in Japan.
Fabulous.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it great? I love this.
So if we're looking for a room in Japan, there we are. We're sorted. That's fine. That's lovely.
Yeah. Well, we must be big in Japan. Da-da, da-da-da-da.
He's here all week.
John is saying to you, Third Doctor, in Sean Pertwee always said that the Cuban heels are too big to fill. So let's think so. Let's hope so, rather. We've also got Problem Being joining with us as well. We have an awful lot of you in the chat tonight. So as usual, keep it coming. Keep us going, your thoughts, because we are going to be talking. And let's get to it now, shall we? Right down to it. Ooh, as I say. Now, I have to say, perversely, I was laughing about a lot of this week when the consolidated ratings appeared, because there were people that were actually quite happy about it and people that weren't happy about it. And then there's just a few people in the middle that were sort of like, are we shocked? Because I'm one of those people in the middle that go, what's the big fuss? There's no shock here, but it started with this. Now, this was one of the most honest X's tweets I saw from TV Zone. Ratings, a disappointing start for Doctor Who, with the series opener consolidating to just over 4 million viewers. Yeah, well, that was it. And then we went on to this. This is not my spelling, by the way, but this is from TV Zone. Ratings, Doctor Who premiere consolidates to over 4 million viewers. Doctor Who returned to screens on Saturday, 11th May, with a double bill premiere of BBC One, BBC iPlayer, and Disney Plus worldwide. And don't we know it? Because that's all they went on about, wasn't it? But it continued with this. On Saturday, 11th of May, Space Babies aired at 6:20 p.m. British Standard Time on BBC One to a live audience of 2.6 million. The Devil's Chord followed at 7:05 p.m. with an audience of 2.4 million. We've covered those before in our shows. The BARB have now released the official 7-day consolidated ratings for the first 2 episodes of the new season. These figures include those who watched on BBC iPlayer and devices, and Space Babies launched with 4.8, followed by The Devil's Chord with 3,909,000. Oh, bless them. You know, so why are people surprised by this? For context, obviously, always, these 2 episodes were the 10th and 12th most watched programs of the week across all linear TV channels and streaming services. So they have to get the spin in there, guys. They do have to get that little positive in. And then, of course, there's the now famous, you will all seen this, Doctor Who TV's ratings guide. This is what they've been doing for several years now. And as you can see there, they've put in the overnight, the +7, which is the, the TV only side of it. And then this new thing that appeared, as Problem being pointed out last year when or at the beginning of the year when he came to talk to us here on Headlines. The +7 TV +4 screen, the 4 screen thing. I mean, they're so desperate now here to try and book up all their ratings. They're actually splitting it. You know, that'll be 4 screen +4 screen, whatever soon, won't it? But there it is. There it is, black and white for you there. The first 2 episodes. So this time round, not a huge increase because, you know, I think we were all expecting with tongue in cheeks for it to go up from 2 million, for example, to 7 million, weren't we? But this didn't. Were you too surprised by this?
No. But by the end of the month, it'll be 14 million, won't it, or something like that. So it'll be fine.
Yeah, because these are quite safe, isn't it?
I think we have to also take into account that a large number of those iPlayer ones are going to be multiple watches by the same person. You know, we've seen examples of people saying how often they've watched it. So, you know, if you had a factor in for that, it'd probably bring, I mean, the first episode was only over 4 million by 8,000. You know, if you get enough bedwetting melts that watch it several times, that'll take 8,000 off easy.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I mean, it's just, I wasn't surprised. I mean, this proves to me what I've been saying for some time now. The British public have gone. They have absolutely left the series. They have all gone. Gary is saying to us, those are decent ratings for nowadays. What's the fuss about?
But are they, though? I mean, if television is down that low and this is a high, then what's happened to television? It's dreadful, isn't it?
Well, I know what's happened to television. They keep churning out absolute nonsense that nobody wants to watch. I've said it before. If you put on a damn good show that attracts the public, they will come and watch it, like Mr. Bates versus the Post Office at the beginning of the year. Look what that was getting overnight. Gladiators, look what that was getting overnight. You know, they want entertained. I really think when it comes to Doctor Who, it's done now. I think it's had its day. I think it needs to come off and it needs to go away for a good few years and have that rest. But they keep insisting on churning it out, don't they? For whatever reason. I don't know what it's for, because they've alienated the majority of fandom as well.
Well, they got their wish. They told us not to watch, and people are not watching. As simple as that.
Yeah. Well, Cybermatch Strikes is saying here over 4 million, barely scraped in at 4 more like. And Limekins is saying to us, whichever way you cut these viewing figures are pants.
Yeah.
And Richard is here saying to us, but Panto Dame Monsoon promised 4 new viewers for every sane soul that switched off to touch grass. They did that for the Jodie Whittaker series as well, though. They kept saying for every ottist phobe that leaves Doctor Who now, a new audience, this mythical new audience they all crave, will come in and take over. And didn't happen then, and it's not going to happen now, because that audience they're looking for doesn't exist. It really, really doesn't exist. And it drives me mad that they can't see this through failing television all the time. Garbage is telling us here that 4-screen believes includes recordings, laptop, PC, and phones. Yes, it's anything that's not actually through the television. So for some bizarre reason, they've decided that they can actually... they can say, right, oh, somebody's watched the iPlayer on a handheld device. That's a different view to watching it on the television. It makes no real sense at all because they're still accessing the iPlayer.
Yeah, it's desperate.
It really is, isn't it?
really
It's
is
another
desperate,
thing,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh, we you know, the public will watch this thing on the bus or on the train or something like that, but it's still accessing the iPlayer, so it should surely be one figure.
I'd be too embarrassed to watch it on the bus, I have to say. On
To
the
be
train,
honest,
yeah.
I think that's where we've got to.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
where we are now in
Yeah.
the UK. I think people are embarrassed to say that they're just not watching it. They're not coming to it at all.
Yeah.
What we got here? We've got Richard saying these figures are inflated by multiple watches on iPlayer. Now we haven't had the iPlayers though at the moment. At this point, that's just the consolidated for the 7 day. You know, so the 7 days. So you have the overnight figure, and then they look at how many people watched on the playback for within 7 days. So it will go up. It will go up again when they come back and say, but on the iPlayer, it's had 16 billion million zillion.
Yeah.
Garbage was pointing out here 8 million for Eurovision. That was directly after. And Domgo is saying, when are Monsoon's millions of trans viewers turning up?
Yeah.
Well, to be quite honest, here in the UK, it's only a minority that knows who that idiot, that person is. You know, because the majority of the same British public have never heard of Jinx Monsoon. We don't know it. It's only and that O'Crone's drag show only gets teeny weeny viewing figures as well. I think it gets below the 2 million.
I wonder if it was Space Babies that put them off because the ratings went down, or Jinx put them off, or a bit of both. You know.
Yeah. Oh, it has to be. It absolutely has to be. And Andrew's pointing out here, both the ITV and BBC regularly post dramas that get 6 million ratings. Yeah. It does.
But that's still considered a lot. I don't think 6 million is a lot either. You know what I mean? When you think about, you know, Mock and Wise getting 25 million in the 70s, or Old Fools and Horses, things like that, massive ratings. It's not like that anymore, is it? It's not. It's people watch television differently, don't they?
Well, that's exactly what Richard's saying here. He's saying, JT, people consume entertainment in different ways now. They do. But when you're considering that the BBC is still, and we know it as well, don't we? Because we've been told it for years now. But, you know, the BBC is still supposed to be the state broadcaster. And yet it's shedding viewers weekly. You know, they're just not going back because the competition is so fierce. The competition is coming from the likes of not just the ITV network, but it's coming from Netflix. It's coming from Sky. It's coming from Amazon Prime. The way we have watched it, it does change because there are more choices there. But when you've got something as big as Doctor Who should be and was, you would think that the public would be interested in that. I think it shows that Doctor Who has lost its footing from 2017 onwards with the public, and it's second guessed the great British public. And it got it wrong.
Yeah. Like we keep saying, the RTD had one job and he blew it.
Totally and utterly. At this point, I want to say a huge thank you to our very own Bedouia, who can't be with us tonight because he's busy having a life and doing lovely things. But he sent us some analysis because he likes doing things like that.
What a nerd.
Well, it's great stuff though. So I'm going to go through Space Babies first, if I may, everybody. This is all from Bedouia. 2.55 million viewers overnight, with 4.01 million plus the 7 on the 7 day rating. Okay, so firstly, the 4.1 million figure was rounded up, so it really did creep above the 4 million viewers by only 8,000 people. So it wasn't the thousands of millions that they expected or we were told it was going to be. The increase of 1.46 million will be a combination of those watching on the BBC iPlayer in advance of the BBC One transmission, those who recorded that transmission on the digital set-top box and watched at some point over that week, and those who streamed it on the iPlayer after BBC One transmission. This increase is comparable to recent trends, but pales in comparison to the jump of 2.76 million viewers, where Jodie Whittaker's debut episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, achieved in 2017. If indeed more viewers are watching the show on BBC iPlayer, then you might expect that increase to have been more significant, similar to that of Whittaker's debut. Space Babies is now officially the lowest +7 viewership for a debut episode of a new series of Modern Who. And for comparison, season 26 began with part 1 of Battlefield in 1989, which only drew 3.1 million viewers opposite Coronation Street on ITV, which had started 5 minutes earlier. That episode also did not have the benefit of BBC iPlayer and may not include those who video recorded and watched later. Space Babies also had over 500,000 more viewers on the +7 rating than Legend of the Sea Devils, the worst performing episode of the modern era, which achieved only 3.47 million viewers on the +7 rating. The share of the available TV audience is comparable at around 30% up from Flux, which averaged 26.8%, but down from the share for the 60th anniversary specials, which averaged 41.6%. The chart rankings of Space Babies 9 and The Devil's Chord 10 for TV viewers only were also comparable with the 60th anniversary specials and a slight improvement on Flux. Ooh.
Every time you say Flux, JT, I just think of indigestion. I really do.
I just think, what is that? Because obviously I don't know anything.
You've not seen it, no. Lucky
No,
you. Lucky you. Yeah.
Stephen is saying to us here, guys, and thanks for that, Bedri. I've got a little bit more coming from him in a second. I'm not surprised at all, says Stephen. Loads of people used to watch it at work. Now only 2 people I know bother. Nobody's talking about it here in the UK either, are they? It's as though the thing wasn't back on at all. And Steve Hindley's with us. I wonder where the 2 to 3 new viewers are now. Well, they got bored after the second episode and left, didn't they?
After the first one, obviously, yeah.
Paul Richards is saying to us, it's a tremendous success. Someone told me at 4 million. Really? Oh.
I think their measure of success has gone down a lot, hasn't it, if they're saying that's a success?
Well, I think, again, it's all part of that spin, isn't it? And Gary is saying to us, the BBC has had its day overall. This was the fun thing about seeing some of the reactions from fans. And it really, really did hit me this week with these figures coming through and then the reactions from fans about how desperate some of them are to keep it going. And if I see this argument again about, bad Who, I'd rather have bad Who than no Who, then wake up. Yeah. Wake up. No, you shouldn't want bad Doctor Who. You are a Doctor Who fan. You should want superb Doctor Who every single week, produced all the year round. That's what you should want. You should demand more. Bad Doctor Who is not good television, and it builds a bad reputation. And that's where we're at now, because we've had bad Doctor Who since 2017.
I think we're definitely back in the position we were in the late 80s when fandom was, it was going through the mill a bit, and the audience didn't respect Doctor Who the way it used to, and now it's become a bit of a joke again, which is really sad.
Yeah. I agree with what Divine Dragon's saying here. They can't see the truth since they live in a bubble. It's true, that, isn't it? And Neville is saying to us here, sad to say, it's probably reasonable for a modern audience. That's how they'll spin it.
But the thing is, if you produced good, proper Doctor Who, really, no agenda driven, just bloody good stories, some decent monsters, you could absolutely kill 7 or 8 million. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's without iPlayer, all that other 3 people watched it on their phone whilst on the bus. That's bollocks. You could smash the ratings if you did decent Doctor Who. The British viewing public aren't idiots. They know when they're being preached to. They know when they're being sold an agenda. And people don't like being sold agendas. And especially when they're told to respect this agenda, but that agenda doesn't respect you. Why should they? And people just don't want it. So they're turned off. And that's without being told to turn off.
Yeah. Whereas we as fans were told to turn off on several occasions over the last few years. And that's what they do. And now they blame the fans for not supporting the show. Well, yaboo to you. That's what happens when you tell the fans to bugger off. And the BBC have got so many problems anyway, haven't they? They are under fire all the time from the British public. But people underestimate the fact that there is a massive amount of people in the UK that are silent. I mean, we only see it when things like this happen, or in, as we're about to find out, general elections, because not everybody goes on talking about their opinion,
I saw a great video on YouTube. It was Vote Dalek, and it was a Dalek at a lectern. It was fantastic. I'll have to find it for you. Really I'd vote for Dalek every time. Because that's a monster. You were talking about monsters, Ian. We've had so far a bogeyman, which is actually a bogey, and a drag queen. How scary is that? Not a lot, really.
Yeah. But again, out of tune with the British public. And it doesn't help as well that the alternative media, and we all know what I'm talking about here, is things like GB News, Talk Radio, all the things that I look down at and the BBC tried to squash, and the extreme left wing tried to squash because it won't bend the knee to the narrative. They come along and then say, did you see this crap on Saturday night? And then they get thousands and thousands of people watching them at any given time. Just look at their views. And then these people go, oh, well, I won't watch that then. It's bad publicity for them. Raymond is saying here, the general public have gone. They didn't watch Space Babies, so they didn't see how bad it was, but they may have heard about it, eh, Raymond? The Chibnall era, the specials, and what's TCORR have done the damage. They aren't coming back. Okay. No, I don't think they're coming back. I think they're well gone, and they've gone and done something better. Not touching grass, but something better. And Jacob, hello, Jacob RM is with us. I think the ratings are acceptable. They could be better, they could be worse. It's a bit concerning. That's the ratings for the premiere, though, as the only way is down. There you are. Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. How they're going to spin it when it goes down to 1 million viewers? That'd be awful, wouldn't it? If it's 1 million.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I want to say hello to Hi Desert 004. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here at Hughes Views. He's saying here in relation to something else, only if Disney is willing to pay for a third season. That's all coming. We've spoken about that before. We will see what's going on there. Alfie 82. No, we haven't. That's coming up later on in the show where we're going to be talking about that cinema thing once I stop laughing. What else we got here? Yeah, keep your comments all coming, everybody. It's great to see you. Let me just go back to what Bedweir sent here for me as well when it came to the Devil's Chord. 2.42 million viewers overnight, 3.91 million plus the 7 rating. Again, the 3.91 million is rounded up from 3.909 million viewers, but comfortably beats the lowest point plus 7 rating of 3.47 million, which the Legend of the Sea Devils achieved. Wow. According to the non-rounded up numbers, the Devil's Chord had 99,000 viewers less than Space Babies. Doctor Who can't really afford to lose around 100,000 viewers from one episode to the next, especially within 5 minutes. The overnight figure indicated that around 130,000 people switched off between the Space Babies and the Devil's Chord. However, the increase from overnight to plus 7 was slightly better, with the 1.49 million increase, so it roughly balances out. If Boom was to get a similar increase for the plus 7 rating, then given the low overnight, it will likely be in Legend of the Sea Devils territory, but the positive reviews may see a better increase than the first 2 episodes. We'll find out next week. The share of the available TV audience dropped by 3.9% from Space Babies, again suggestive that a decent proportion did not continue the series after the first episode. Well, again, thank you for that, Bedweir. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It's interesting. They even had Shooty saying, hold on a minute, there's another episode coming along in a minute, and they switched off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that whole thing about the retaining of it, wasn't it? It was just a little bit bizarre, and I hate that with now having. I don't watch BBC One, I don't watch television. You guys know that. I won't pay the BBC. I don't have a license, so I don't watch it. So to watch Doctor Who, I have to go to my family. So every time I go back to my family to watch something on the BBC, which tends to be Doctor Who, so it's not that often. The presentation from it this day is awful. You don't get the credits at the end anymore. Then you get things shooting off, and it's all iPlayer adverts and things like that. Oh, I can't be done with it. What the hell?
I must admit, I'm quite surprised. I do watch telly a fair amount, and I do watch occasional bits of BBC, and I've not seen many trailers. I'm quite surprised. It's not been pushed as much as I anticipated.
Oh, really?
I thought they were going. Maybe I've just missed them, but I've not seen many trailers at all, and I'm quite surprised they've not been quite so down your throat with the trailers as they are with everything else. So
I've heard a few, not a lot, but I've heard a few. And because being old and sad, I will listen to Radio 4. And I've heard a few Doctor Who adverts, just generic adverts, not next episode is, just, generic, same old Shooty doing the silly phrases, and all that kind of rubbish on Radio 4 between programs. And it seems to be on the BBC News website down the right hand side. You'll get the top 10 headlines or whatever. Then below that you might get a couple of features, and then there's 3 or 4 Doctor Who pieces, and they're also on the BBC Sport website as well, which is like, that never advertises mainstream programs. That is literally just sport, but it's there as well. It's like they're using their own platform to really steamroller it in the desperate hope that can get as many people watching as possible, but it's having the opposite effect. I mean, I'd check the sports pages occasionally on the BBC website, supporting Leeds. It's not always positive news, but we hope for Sunday. But I was looking there, and even I find it intrusive. And it's like a program that I've loved for years, and I'm thinking, what the bloody hell is it there for? It's total desperation.
It's interesting that you're saying that they haven't been promoting this on the BBC, because when the series came back in 2005, and right up until around about Matt Smith's first one, they did. It was constantly everywhere because it was their big lead Saturday night show. It was the jewel in the crown, Doctor Who. Because as fans, we were all quite proud of that. It had come back, and it had come back with such style and presence, and we had people annoying us in the street who were not fans actually saying, "Oh yeah, we watched your show," and all this sort of stuff. But it was a lovely time, wasn't it? It was absolutely fine. I mean, there was that big week, of course, between the end at the end of the 2005 series, between whatever it was and the parting of the ways, where Doctor Who was pushed every night, and it was a little countdown to what we then knew was going to be a regeneration episode. They did all those little promotions and stuff, and now you're saying there's not much going on about it. Maybe it shows a lack of faith, or it could show arrogance and overconfidence.
I have seen a few things on YouTube, but I don't know whether that's been broadcast as well. But there'll be occasional countdowns and things like that on YouTube, and the occasional preview clips on BBC's own YouTube channel. But I don't know whether any of that's put on the telly. I'm not really sure.
Well, I don't. God, I don't know. That's Darren is with us as well. Hello, Darren. 5-minute breakdown show an even starker picture for the ratings. Boom dropped below 2 million. 2 million. 10 around 10 minutes before the episode ended, and Britain's Got Talent was starting on ITV at the same time. There you go. You see, I mean, those sorts of entertainment shows. I know that Britain's Got Talent is down as well on the ratings, but not to that extent, is it? You know, it shows to me that there is a hell of a lot of complacency from these people, and there's nothing new. And let's face it, Doctor Who in this format is an old show. It's been going for nearly 20 years. Is it 20 years? 20 years. It's an old show. How much longer can it go on apart from next year and possibly the year after? How much longer can this continue? I don't know.
I still think the new series has had a really bad habit of changing the Doctor too often, and I think that's part of the problem. And you have to as an audience engage with the character a bit more. When we were younger, Pertwee or Tom lasted much longer, and you got a chance to actually establish a relationship. Even though they've done 5 years or whatever, they've done 3 series and it's been spread over 5 years, things like that. I don't feel I have the same connection with the Doctor now as I ever did when I was watching it as a kid, you know?
Well, as I say, I'm still having problems trying to see the Doctor in this version of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I just can't. There are elements sometimes to Ncuti's performance where I see a certain glimpse and then it goes off on a tangent, or he says "honey" or something ridiculous that I know the Doctor wouldn't do or say. Domgo,
give me the lovin'. That's it.
Oh, that's all coming. That's all coming in the finale. In all seriousness, how can the BBC justify having a show that barely has 2 million viewers on at a prime time on Saturday evening? Now, this is a great question because I was thinking about this the other day. Now, back in the day, which would have been at least 10 years ago, and then more, they couldn't and they wouldn't. And a show getting the ratings that Doctor Who is getting now would have been transferred to BBC Two within a blink of an eye. Doctor Who, of course, was born for BBC One. It's been on BBC One its entire life. I don't think they will be that desperate to it, but I think they will be looking at this saying, why are we investing in this? Why are we ordering this? You know, what is BBC Studios doing? I think that if there isn't, there should be questions going on about this now.
Shows have been canned for getting a lot higher ratings.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I mean, if your audience is now, and we haven't had the AIs through yet either. Digby is saying, back in the day, I would have watched New Who at midnight, but this stuff is just awful. And people are switching off. Yes, in a few hours' time here in the UK, of course, episode 4, 73 Yards will be launched on iPlayer. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on in this show as well. Jacob is replying to Domgo. The rest of their schedule currently is also around 2 million overnights. Now, if that's the case, that's disgraceful, because if the BBC, especially BBC One, is only bringing in 2, 3, or 4 million people from the United Kingdom's great British public, that needs to be looked at, because these people are forced to pay a television license. And if they are paying a television license, which we know a lot of them aren't now because people are cancelling every week, what are they paying for? Because I look at the output from the BBC and it's crap. It's absolutely disgusting. It's all reality shows, alleged celebrities, cheap, tacky stuff. It really is ridiculous. Where is the quality? Occasionally, you'll get a quality piece, but it's not produced anymore by the BBC. It's ordered by the BBC and done by an independent production company. What happened? I mean, this all goes back to the 80s with that nonsense about, oh, you've got to farm out more stuff, haven't you? That came in from the then government. Bloody awful, which they love in the industry now because it's, you know, allowed a lot of independence to come through. But it has allowed the BBC to suffer because it's not what it was. It's a shadow of its former self. It's a lazy, awful, awful, awful organization.
I agree.
Yeah.
Long overdue for serious reform, I think. I mean, we all know what we think about the license fee. I genuinely think the BBC should live or die on its actual popularity in the open market. If people like it as much as they insist that they do, then they'll pay for it on a subscription platform.
We've talked about that before here, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm beginning to think now, could this be the start of them being aware that at some point they're going to have to let the license fee go? So therefore, they're pushing the iPlayer, they're pushing everybody there. They're trying to condition people into using the iPlayer more and more and more, so that when the day comes very soon, when they turn around to the public and say, fire the government, the BBC no longer is going to get the license fee. In 5, 6, 7 years' time, you won't have to pay for the BBC. They are then in that position to say, well, that's fine, because what you can do is you can pay for the iPlayer and you can pay a subscription and look at the catalogue we've got on there. Look at all the new shows we've got on there as well.
What sort of, I don't know because I don't really watch it, but things like Netflix, what kind of viewership do they get? Have you any idea in terms of comparisons? I know it's different because it's a streaming service, but if something like Netflix to get more than BBC, that is really crazy, isn't it?
I personally don't know. Somebody in the chat may do. I don't have any of the. I don't have any. We've got some stuff coming up actually, which we'll get onto now, which might actually answer some of that. But I don't know. Shooty Fatwa is saying it's like 1989, but turned up to 11. I've said this before. I've said this before. It is like history is repeating itself now. I do believe we are now in the dying days of this version of Doctor Who. The ratings are going down. The British public is disengaged. The fans are disengaged. It's not strong anymore. It's very, very weak and feeble. The merchandise isn't selling anymore. Times are moving on. And I do see it. I mean, it's and no disrespect, but we've got the wonderful, beautiful Bonnie Langford coming back into it now as well. And I just wish she'd been back a few years back, but never mind. It is like history repeating itself.
I would rather watch Battlefield than this rubbish, I have to say. I love Battlefield.
Well, me too. Me too. I'd watch anything from any of the original 26 years than this nonsense, but we are watching it for you guys, for our review shows. John is saying to us here, Doctor Who is dead. It just doesn't know it yet, or does it? Do they really realise? Because they've got the second one in the can now. There's not much they can do there without spending more money. And Ducksuit Productions, hello to you. There are worse things than cancellation. Continuing being one.
Yes, yeah.
Carrying on, honestly. That would be ridiculous. Problem being is saying to us here, the BBC really has contempt for the modern audience. It's at the low bar they think is acceptable. It's just typical though, isn't it? I mean, they have, in my eyes, alienated everybody except that very vocal minority of youth that they're trying to keep on who can't tell man from woman. You know, that awful, awful lot. And I just think to myself, what are you doing? You know, even the retired are forced now to pay for their license fees again, which they shouldn't be. You know, but they're forced to now because these young ones don't.
They have an arrogance, which is just based on the fact that they get paid for anyway with that tax, with that license fee. They know they're getting paid, so they can show absolute contempt for everybody else. Absolute.
Yeah. Lynn is saying to us here, bad Doctor Who tarnishes the brand. Why is everything that goes woke so bitter and spiteful? Shooty's delivery in Boom was shockingly vitriolic.
Yeah, it was a bit nasty at times, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit too, oh, look at me, I can act. Simon L., hello, it's nice to see you. People's standards have just lowered over the years. Being in the film industry, nobody appreciates in-depth stories. They just want surface-level CGI with action all the time, so the bar is now low. I get that point as well, but I think it's come from somewhere. I think it's been set by somewhere. And I think, I think the rise of reality television, which I was always against, always against the reality television. I think that's really bedded it in, and they're all looking for cheap ways to do things now. And when you're looking at daytime television, I was against that back in the day as well, Simon. I really was saying this is going to be ridiculous. Play the test card and stop it. But, it was just awful, because now you're looking at shed repair things and alleged celebrities running around the country in a mini, please.
Oh, there's one show that they do that they go to a dump and someone takes a bit of furniture out of the dump, takes it away, refurbishes it and sells it for exorbitant amounts of money as well. Yeah.
The doctor's joining us. The doctor is joining us saying, what's this? Well, we're talking at the moment about the consolidated ratings here in the UK. And we've got more coming up right now. I'm going to go back to this as well, because somebody actually mentioned the Radio Times in the chat. Yeah. Oh, sorry for laughing, but let's get on with it. This was the Radio Times. Doctor Who ratings revealed for first week of season 14. The numbers are in. This is radiotimes.com. We now have a clear picture of the ratings for Doctor Who's launch episodes, with confirmed audience figures for the first 7 days following the first 2 episodes release. According to the British Audience Research Bureau, 4.01 million tuned in for Space Babies and 3.91 million for The Devil's Chord. These figures are the 7-day consolidated ratings and include those who watched on BBC iPlayer from the show's release on Saturday. Viewing figures for programmes on broadcast channels and consolidated 7-day viewing figures with pre-broadcast viewing and viewing on tablets, PCs and smartphones are included. Goodness me, look at that. Okay. It continues. As for what's next, and look at this. This what made me laugh. We've got a mysterious adventure to the Welsh coast to look forward to in 73 Yards, with showrunner Davis recently teasing what's to come. He said on the official Doctor Who podcast, I literally had to go and stand on Swansea Pier and work out exactly what 73 Yards was to make this story work. That'll make sense when you see it. This is Welsh. This is Welsh folk horror coming up with an astonishing cast. It's spooky, it's strange, it's genuinely unlike any other episode we've ever done before. Seems to have heard that before. We've all found ourselves fascinated by making this. We had to test so much and get so much exactly right. It's very strange. 73 Yards is significantly important. Pay attention to those scrolls at the beginning, and you might wonder what the message means. Rest in peace, Mad Jack. So that was the radiotimes.com. So see how it twists it very, very quickly to get away from such bad. It doesn't comment at all on a bad performance there at all. It twists it by saying, but this week we've got this coming up, in a blatant attempt to try and get people who are reading excited about an episode they're not going to go and watch.
It's just the next best episode ever. This one, is it? Is this now the best episode ever?
After the last one.
I thought last week's was the best episode ever. This is the new one. It's the best episode ever.
Until next week.
Yeah. Until next week.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, everything's the same now, isn't it? It's always the same. Oh, thank you, sir. Divine Driving. TCORR means Church on Ruby Road. Of course it does. But do you know what? I've forgotten.
Because some of this 73 Yards take place in a pub.
Yes,
apparently so.
Because a yard.
It's got very American Welfare London vibes to it. What I've seen of it.
But a yard is a measure of ale, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you have to have 73 of them to make sense of it.
Possibly.
Who knows?
That's a great drinking game for this series. What a great idea, yes.
Yeah. Well, we'd all be comatose, so I don't think it is a good idea, to be quite honest.
I think we'd be comatose anyway without the alcohol, probably.
Yeah. Stephen Braddock is saying to us, Ian is dead right. Imagine if the Bogeyman episode was a scary monster under the bed, or the Devil's Chord was a demon altering the world of music by possessing people. I mean, the concepts for a lot of these episodes that we've seen so far are very interesting, but not for me. They're not executed properly, because then they suddenly go into their show business mode about, oh, we have to push this agenda in, or we have to put this message in, or we have to cast this particular person because drag rights are human rights, or something nonsense because that's the world they're in. It's just not coming through. It's as though I might be born out in this. It's as though they're just having a laugh.
Yeah.
And they're not caring enough. They're just having fun with their mates, and they don't care about the bigger picture.
And they're trying any old rubbish, and if something sticks and it works, it'll be a fluke, you know.
But you know, the problem is, though, with that part, is that these people have all worked on this show before. They should know what sticks, and what sticks is good storytelling, good acting, good direction, good pace, people tune in to have a good actor playing the Doctor and the companion. It's not all about CGI in Doctor Who. It's about what you can get from the story. And they seem to have forgotten the story again. And it just seems to be paint by numbers, you know? And we've looked at the 3 now. We've looked at 3. I can't remember much about them already.
Yeah.
Instantly
forgettable.
Yeah. Really are. Which Doctor Who never was it? Because you were so, you go back to proper era and you'd watch it and you'd memorize stuff. You'd pay so much attention to what was going on, desperate for those 25 minutes not to be up because you didn't want it to end, or you'd record it on audio or whatever, because pre-video days you'd record it on audio tape and wear the tape out, listening to the episodes over and over. I forgot how many times I listened to my scratchy audio recording of episode 1 of Destiny of the Daleks. All the time, waiting for episode 2. I had to virtually go out and buy another tape because I'd worn out the first one. And now we see these things and you can instantly play them back, but we don't. Because they're just.
And also, you'd be, like you said, you'd be desperate for part 2 because the cliffhanger was so good. I mean, Destiny, that bit of the Daleks come through the kind of the wall is fantastic, and then part 2,
and the tension building up.
Week,
you knew something was coming, and you see the wall vibrating. And that was a real edgy as seat moment, and it was supposedly in the height of the Graham Williams daft era. But no, that really did tension sometimes.
Yeah, you definitely.
You compare it to now, and we've mentioned Battlefield before, haven't we, tonight? And we got a bogeyman that was a bogey, literally, or a collection of. But you go back to 1989, the Destroyer on screen for a criminally short time. But the Destroyer, for God's sake, I mean, that would stand up now.
Yeah.
Just like the arrival at the space station in Trial of a Time Lord would stand up now.
Yeah.
That Destroyer was just unbelievable. Yeah. And we get a bloody bogeyman.
We don't
the bogeyman monster, I think, in principle, the actual look of it looks great, I think. If it wasn't a bogeyman, it's got an alien quality to it, like the Sigourney Weaver movies, that kind of thing, that kind of vibe to it. But as I was saying earlier, these are interesting ideas, but not developed enough to make it any good,
I don't think anything to do with bogies and them him thinking he's clever because he's got a bogey monster made from bogey. I don't think that's clever. I think it's juvenile rot. Although having said that, I believe that some very young children thought that was hilarious. I've been told by friends or by family who've got young children. I've been told that the very young ones, and we're talking 4 or 5, that sort of age, thought that was hilarious. They thought that was funny. But anybody over that, I mean, if they're playing for 4 or 5-year-olds, you're not going to get very far, really, are you? And you're in the wrong time slot and on channel. You should be on bloody CBBC and stop calling yourself Doctor Who. But we're going back to the Destroyer, Paul. Going back to the Destroyer, I do know actually that is still standable today, and we've got young people watching things like that today, and they're loving that. They're loving the look of it. They're loving the story. And this is what I keep saying about. You've got to have a story. Young people are not stupid, even though they are affected by all this nonsense that apparently we're all going to be seeing in Dot and Bubble as well in the next couple of weeks, about technology and stuff like this, and constantly looking down their phones. We can still get them because they're still human. If you tell them a story, their natural instinct should kick in. Andrew's saying all this means is a pitiful low amount of people watched on iPlayer. Now, that's a good subject, Andrew. Thank you for that, because it is. You're right. A pitiful amount did tune in. Again, it shows that their hope that millions of people will go to iPlayer to watch Doctor Who, it's not happening. It's not going to happen for whatever reasons here. And Lex was saying to us, Lex Kane was on earlier, sent me a note saying he doesn't understand why are the ratings down. And hopefully, Lex, we're having that conversation for you now. But I genuinely think the ratings are down because nobody gives a toss.
Yeah.
The show is done. It's over. It's gone. I'm really at that point now, just thinking they killed it in 2017. They've made a series of bad decisions since 2017, and they're still doing the bad decisions now. It's not helping the show.
Well, I think they're making worse decisions, really. I never thought it would be possible the decisions they're making are far worse than everything Chibnall did, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Well,
it's difficult to believe, isn't it?
It is difficult to believe, yeah, because like you said, we thought he would be the saviour, and he's not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Jacob is saying, I've seen more trailers for this week's episodes than the previous episodes, actually. Now, was that on BBC One, or has that been on social media? Because I have seen things which I ignore coming through on social media, basically saying, look at this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this. No, I'm not going to on social media at all. But have you seen that, Jacob, on social media, or have you seen it on the telly? This is Jamie Knight here. Hello, Jamie. Stop trying to make iPlayer happen, Gretchen. It's never going to happen. And yeah, I really do believe passionately, Jamie, if they had the right people, i.e. me, in charge, it could. It could happen. You know, because you've got to turn iPlayer into a proper business concern. They've got to divorce it from the TV license fee. As I've said before, get rid of the TV license fee. And then make people from around the world, not just Britain, but from around the world, subscribe to the iPlayer. You open it out, because a lot of you lovely subscribers from outside the UK are already tapping in to the iPlayer. We know that because you've told us. Thank you for being honest. But why not just make it proper and get them to pay $20 or whatever it's going to be? You know, make it a proper business concern. They're just not interested, are they?
I still would love to see, if it comes out eventually, that the ratings or the downloads for Classic Who on the iPlayer. I bet it's tanking New Who. Has to be.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I don't think we're ever going to see. I don't think we're going to see any of those figures for the original proper Doctor Who at all, for that very reason. You know, I can't see them coming back saying, oh, Logopolis has gone up from 3 million, 4 million, whatever it was, to 18.
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be nice.
It would be fantastic. But do you know what I mean?
But it's what they're doing with the new.
I think Part 4 Logopolis got 5 million, I think, in its day, which is such a shame, you know. But
we've got lots of that going on there. Cybermat Strax is saying to us here, it's dead, it ceased to be, it's an ex-parrot. Yeah. Medlin Funk, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. All the spin about how the overnights don't tell the full story. Well, it has done now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Stuart is saying, saw Fall Guy at the cinema. I did as well, and I quite enjoyed it. And they had the Doctor Who trailer. Yes. And boy, was I embarrassed. Stuart's girlfriend's first exposure to Shooty playing someone who's meant to be the smartest person in the room, yelling, show me the loving. And we know that's on the way. That's going to be part of the finale, isn't it? When, God. And Darren is saying to us here, they've been trailing the next episode heavily on BBC One this week. That's something, because at least they have. But again, that shows that they're trying to get people watching. But if they're only bringing in 2 or 3 million people during the week, it's not going to happen, is it?
I was just thinking, if Sean Pertwee does turn up as the Doctor, I hope he gives some kind of Venetian Aikido to Shooty's Doctor and hit someone. That'd be quite nice.
I don't want to talk about that. It's too awful to contemplate.
I'm feeling traumatized, Paul.
Sorry,
we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that later on.
There's some description, you know. Like
we'll deal with that later on, because I can't. I can't. It just makes me feel sick. Hello, Joe. Joe Chapman is joining us. Hello, nice to see you. And the last episodes of Season in the Cinema, you want me to fork out 20 quid for Son and I plus the drinks and snacks? No, thanks. Keep that in mind, Joe. We're going to be coming to that very
your own snacks
very, very soon. We are.
Yeah.
Content is king, says Kev Gresham. Nice to see you, Kev. Hope you're well. Just wish they would make programs with good content here, then actors, then the effects. Absolutely. Let's bring back content. Let's bring back proper television and stop pandering to a mythical audience, which you are all part of in television world and entertainment world, and bending the knee to all this cult and nonsense. But you know what? For all your inclusion, you've excluded millions of sane, normal, hard-working people here in the UK and also across the world, because the BBC is not catering for the audience anymore. And when you look at, I was reading just today, I should have put it in the show, shouldn't I, viewers? But when you're reading today, that some of the old channels available to us here in the UK are showing things going back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, the 80s. And they're doing very respectable business when it comes to the numbers on those channels. I think that says a hell of a lot. I'd rather watch Judi Dench and her late great husband Michael in a fine romance in the evening than I would anything today, quite frankly. You know, Me and My Girl apparently is coming back with Richard. I love all that.
I've been watching Steptoe Son, which has been quite fun. Some of the
There you
60s
go.
episodes on Channel 150. I think it's Great TV, I think it's called, something like that. Or That's Entertainment. Great channel.
Yep. And when you look at the quality of that stuff and you compare it today, it's no wonder that people are going back to watch the repeat channels. When and that's why they keep going back to things. They brought Doctor Who back. We know for a fact they're bringing Bergerac back. All these little things they're trying to bring back, but they mess it up because they shove all this agenda in, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
they can't help themselves. They have to do it. It's an obsession, which is the polite way of saying it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
Don't be polite. You know that. It's fine. Just put it out there. Joe is also saying to us here, Joe, it's lovely to see you. Every actor playing the Doctor has the core of the Doctor somewhere, right up until Whittaker and Gatwa. I can't comment about Whittaker, Joe, because I never watched their episodes.
She's right, though.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you because, I think one of you two have said on the show somewhere, it's like that sketch from the 1990s, isn't it? Where up to a certain point and then any idiot would do.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Any F with an equity card, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And that's the problem. They don't even need a bloody equity card these days because that was gone years ago. So and that's where reality television comes in now as well, because they get all these all these people coming through reality television thinking that the bee's knees, most of whom are cheap.
I have to say, Shooty wouldn't be out of place on Love Island, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, God. Mike Disney is saying to us, how can the BBC afford to advertise on YouTube and the cinemas, etc., by stiffing the boomers? Well, BBC Studios is quite a well-off company. They may also have some of the money from Disney, of course, because Disney put something into it for also advertising. Now, I've been trying to find out whether that was just out of the UK, and I can't because nobody's talking. Nobody's saying anything. They're really keeping things really tight. It's very difficult to get anything these days when it comes to information, which says a lot more, I think, about them these days. I don't know.
Yeah, they're scared to tell us what's going on, aren't they?
Squawk is with us. There must be a lot of curiosity viewers on iPlayer for Dr. Q who will be dropping away like files as this misconceived series, like flies, as this misconceived series progresses. I don't think so. I think it's all coming from the fans. I mean, I've said it before and I've seen it on Twitter and Facebook and all the social media platforms. Oh, I've watched The Devil Calls 25 times now. How many of you watched it? Oh my God, I'm going to go and watch it a few more and all this. I just think, please.
I had trouble watching it once.
Me too, to be quite honest. Me
the thing
too.
is, casual people that have a passing interest or curiosity, they're going to watch it on TV. They'll make the point of watching it on TV, and if they miss it, they won't care. They'll just be, oh, we'll see what it's like next week. They're not going to go to iPlayer and deliberately search it out. They aren't going to give a toss.
I think we're dealing with a big problem here when it comes to a live viewing audience for the BBC, because I don't think the youngsters watch the BBC as much as we all think they do. I think if they are going to go off and do something, I mean, for one thing, they're putting this thing on the iPlayer at midnight here. We all know that's because it's what Disney dictated. But if you are in your early 20s, why the hell are you not out in a pub or a club at midnight on a Friday night, for crying out loud? Get a bloody life. Don't be tuning into Doctor Who. You should be out there clubbing and having a good time. Not that much of that generation know what a good time is. But, it's a real case there. I don't understand why they would do that and then big it up, because their target audience should be out and waking up a skip on Saturday morning, shouldn't they? Like we all did. Do you know what I mean? Having a good time.
Other vehicles are available.
Staggering in at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and not even being bothered about watching something on television unless it's to conk out to. Let's face it, that's what young people should be doing. But I think when it comes to the live audience on a Saturday night, yes, you're going to get the minority of what's left of Doctor Who fandom watching it live on BBC One. But obviously the viewing public isn't there. And they didn't really, because they've seen enough. So if they did watch Space Babies, the immediate thing they were going to do and did was turn the thing off, because they didn't stay for the Devil's Chord.
That's the thing, because this is their first episode. I've said this already before. It's a short season, 8 episodes long, and you don't have time to fanny about, that's a technical term, with your audience. You have to kind of grab them at the start. And Space Babies wasn't really the right choice, I don't think. And in fact, I don't think the Devil's Chord was either. So it needed something a bit more exciting to prove to the audience that actually Doctor Who's back with a bang and actually might be quite good. But they've they've messed that up, haven't they?
Well, considering that, I mean, we all go about this being the first episode of the new series, blah blah blah. Well, actually, Christmas should have been the big one for that. The Christmas one should have been the one that said, "Here's your new Doctor, Britain, and isn't he brilliant? And isn't this a really serious adventure?" Had they come back with something like the Christmas Invasion, it may have worked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things here that are not gelling properly. We are going to be coming back to this subject with you guys, of course, in the chat here on the channel through time. But look at this. This is from that Park Place. Now, can I just say I'm beginning to like that Park Place? I really am. And at this point, Mark Milford, thank you so much for sending this to me. I got this today. Love this. So we're putting it into the show now. But Mark, really appreciate this because I hadn't seen this. But this is from that Park Place. News outlet decries former Doctor Who fans and attempts to gaslight them, saying they are openly misinterpreting viewership data. That will include us. So let's have a look and see what let's have a look and see what else they say about this. Right, so let's get into this from that Park Place. An online news outlet called Fiction Horizon decried former Doctor Who fans as angry and attempted to gaslight them, claiming they are openly misinterpreting viewership data. You ready for this? Let's get into it. In an article published on May the 16th, titled "Angry Fans Openly Misinterpret Doctor Who Viewership Data, Calling the Series Woke and Unwatchable Despite Praise from Critics," author Arthur S. Poe, I'm sure that's made up, attempts to justify his false headline by claiming that the viewership data out of the BBC does not include the numbers from Disney+. In the article, Poe admits viewership for the first 2 episodes was abysmal, writing, "After the first 2 episodes were released on BBC One, the viewership numbers were released a couple of days later, revealing that Space Babies, the first episode, was watched by 2.6 million viewers, with The Devil's Chord, the second, having an overnight audience of 2.4 million. And while these numbers are certainly low, they are not the complete numbers, as we are about to see." He then attempts to claim that comparing this to previous episodes of Doctor Who to these overnight numbers from BBC One is misinterpreting the data because the show also appears on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer. Poe writes, "On the other hand, this time the series is available both on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer for the first time, so many people had the opportunity to watch the series on these platforms." Next, Poe attempts to explain the numbers that were released reflect only the overnight viewers on BBC One and do not include streaming viewers, which means that they are incomplete. Just to point out, this point is an ad hoc, everybody. I want to remind everybody that Doctor Who is not on Disney Plus in the UK. It's exclusive to the BBC. I wonder if he understands that. Let's get back.
Mr. Poe's full of sorry.
There is certainly a small number of fans of the series who have opted to see the episodes via these platforms. Let's just repeat that again. There is certainly a small number of fans, there's the key words, of the series who have opted to see the episodes via these platforms, so the low ratings are only partial and do not reflect the actual numbers, which are probably going to be released later. He then derides former fans of the show. This, of course, hasn't stopped some angry fans, mostly conservatives,
What?
and anti-woke crusaders, to label the series as dead. However, the show's overnight ratings were still abysmal, even compared to the Christmas special. The BBC reported that the most recent Christmas special, which was the debut episode for Shooty Gatwa's 15th Doctor, brought in 4.7 million in overnight numbers. In comparison, Space Babies had overnight viewership of 2.6 million, and The Devil's Chord had an overnight viewership of 2.4 million. That's a nearly 50% decline from the Christmas special. That is atrocious and shows viewers are indeed abandoning the show, says that Park Place. As far as Disney Plus numbers, the show did not chart on Samba TV's most streamed programs for the week of May the 6th to May the 12th. And the first 2 episodes debuted on May the 11th. And then what they've done is they've published this from Samba TV. And as you can see, Doctor Who doesn't feature, and neither does anything with the Disney Plus logo. Isn't that interesting? There's nothing there. Netflix domineering this very, very, very competitive industry. And then we have this. It also did not chart on the Nielsen streaming chart. And as you can see there, Fool Me Once, which we spoke about way back in January, is number 1. And therefore, if you can see there, your total viewing minutes in millions there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to see The Crown is a number there, number 11. Yeah. Okay. So we've got all that. And it goes on. Furthermore, the third episode has since released, and its overnight numbers are even worse than the first 2 episodes. Boom only brought in 2.04 million viewers. We also have consolidated numbers for the first 2 episodes, which track the show's viewership of the week since it was released. Space Babies only brought in 4.01 million, and The Devil's Call brought in 3.91 million. Both are still lower than the overnight number for the Christmas special. The show's ratings are clearly disastrous, and no amount of spin or hatred from Fiction Horizon is going to change the truth. So well done to Park Plagueis for that one. Thank you for that one. But I mean, they're one of the few people that are actually prepared to speak the truth here, because nobody speaks the truth anymore, do they?
No, they don't. They just spin the truth. That's all they do. So
I'll tell you something though. This similar to a brand new episode being released before it's on TV has happened before, and that was with the McGann movie when the video came out. Was it 2 weeks before it was on TV? So you could say that that's the 90s equivalent of iPlayer, where it was available for people to go out and buy, and they did.
Yeah,
you know, people were queuing at midnight to go and get the DVD of the McGann TV movie. And it was a big event. It featured on the news.
It did, yeah.
And people, was there not a preview screening as well?
I think the BFI might have done something, something like that,
I can't remember. It's too long ago.
And you know what? When they put it on TV, it got 10.5 million.
Yeah.
Just saying. So that model has been done before, and there was less people in the country in 1996 than
I know, happy days
years later. So the viewing audience is larger now, so it should be doing better than it is. It isn't, because it's shite.
Yes, and because because it's told its fans to bugger off a couple of times now, 2 or 3 times now. So we did. The rise of shows similar to ourselves, or much bigger channels than ourselves as well, very powerful, because again, they have an influence over people that watch the show, so people are not going to come to it fresh. I guarantee you that if the big powerful channels on this platform had turned around and said, this is brilliant, people would have gone on their recommendation. But because they're actually recommending not to, they're going to do that as well, because that's human nature. You go to the critics, and whether you like it or not, professionals, these people on these platforms are critics, and they're damn good at what they do. Whether you agree with them or not, they are really good at what they do, and they're honest. So yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, that all this negativity that's towards the show, and it all comes from the people that are running the show, because they're so busy trying to preach things that just shouldn't be in, especially not in Doctor Who. It's just absolute nonsense. Joe is saying to us, you can use your VPN to watch it on Disney. Cough, cough. We don't need to. I mean, it's bad enough.
And iPlayer. You can do the same with iPlayer, can't you, from abroad?
So our viewers tell us, Kev is saying to us here, went on to iPlayer Tony to watch previous episodes like Father's Day and Blink. I can't believe it was the same writers that wrote the latest installments. That's the point, isn't it, Kevin? What's gone on? I just think they're taking the pee and taking the money, allegedly. What's going on here? Oh, Joe is saying to us here, I'm a lefty. I was at Pride events with my pals in the 90s before it all went mad. Yet here I am, angry, awake, and not woke. Joe, it's the same. It's like a mate said to me at Christmas time, and I said it before. He said to me, no, listen, we didn't leave the left left us. And that's exactly where we stand. Because they're all going on about us being right-wingers. We've seen it in various articles on this particular show, right-wingers. In that one there, talked about conservatives. Why are they so frightened of people that have a different opinion to them? Why are they labeling them to try and understand them? You're not agreeing with me, so you're a right-winger. You're not agreeing with me, so you're a conservative, which means something slightly different in the States, for example, than it does here. I think it also does in Australia and Canada as well. But I
have to say, I don't mind being called a gammon, but conservative really gets me gears.
Do you know what, though? I don't mind being called that now, because as far as I'm concerned, it's the conservatives that know what a man is and what a woman is.
True.
And they seem to be the only ones standing for LGBT rights in the UK, and certainly the only ones that are able to say a man shouldn't be winning a women's sprinting race.
Yeah.
You know, because all the rest of them are turning around. We have got a general election on the way now here in the UK.
Finally, yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, but I'm also terrified because if you look at these people that are probably going to get in, from my point of view, they're going to stamp all over LGB and women like that because it's all going to be about the TQ cult. From my point of view, it's frightening. I was just like, oh God, this is coming at a really bad side. Domgo, hello. As an aside, I was in HMV today and saw a mother and daughter looking at the Ruby Road DVD. The mum said, "Would you like this?" And the 10-year-old girl said, "Nah, it's rubbish."
I thought you were going to say, Mum said, "Come away from that."
Well, there you go. You see, not all of them are getting it. Yeah. But I think a lot of the kids are turning around saying that as well because it doesn't have that imagination anymore because it's been written by people in their late 50s and 60s, which there's nothing wrong to that, except that those people seem to think this is what the kids want. They're imagining a world where they think this is what children want. No, be adults and write something for everybody like they used to do, because you've all lost the ability to write and produce a show in my eyes. Duck Soup is saying to us here, Disney Plus crashed and burned a long time ago. The streaming service nobody watches. Ooh. And Stuart is saying to us, I get my Disney Plus for free with Tesco points. Cancel it immediately. Renew every 3 months with my points. Ooh, they'll be coming for you now. The mouse is about. And Robbie. Hello, Robbie. It's nice to see you. For all the flaws Series 10 had, it was the last good one. Which was number 10?
That's Capaldi's last one.
Capaldi's last one. I've just checked the shelf. Yeah. Haven't been back to it since I watched it originally, actually. But I think you're probably right there. That's where I left him, Robbie. That's where my doctor is. The doctor's there in the snow. That's it.
I really liked the Ice Warrior one in that season, but not many people did.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. There is no truth, says Neville. No Doctor Who, though, says Stuart. And Moriarty is with us as well, saying no DVD, it's video. Not sure what that's about, but there you go. Nice to see you, Moriarty. Thanks for joining us. Richard is saying only bigots will understand mathematics, logic, tact, and taste. And Stephen's not alone here because he's saying I've done a lot of touching grass since this season started. I think a lot of us have been touching grass, but I think everybody involved with the show on the other side has been smoking it.
Yeah.
Honestly, really, really do. And High Desert 004, a booger monster in 2024. Exactly. It was like, my auntie this week said to me, it's all a bit silly now, isn't it? It was like the rubbish bin thing again, just moved on. And all. I was thinking, actually, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying there. It's just what their idea of what will kids find amusing, very strange. So that's the point. We also got this through. Thank you very much to Bobby D75 for sending this. This again is from Samba TV. Gen Z % of streaming time spent on each service. Now look at that. Netflix has 59%. Max, which I think used to be called HBO Max, is 10%. 9% for Prime Video. Disney Plus gets 5%, and Hulu 4%. And they went with Disney Plus for this particular series. I reckon Netflix would have turned it down had it seen the episodes. But Bobby D75, you're a star. Thank you for that. From Samba TV, the % of streaming time spent on each service in Gen Z.
I had heard that Disney had lost about 4 billion in streaming sales worldwide. It wouldn't surprise me because but they don't learn from it. Isn't that right, Mickey?
Who? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Isn't that interesting there? I mean,
it's
look at
literally
that.
a Mickey Mouse organization in every
literally,
sense, isn't it? Yeah.
They should throw down some traps. I think it's infested, isn't it?
So what the BBC needs to do is look at what Netflix is doing right. Look at the content of what Netflix has got, and then look at the iPlayer, and again sell the fact that they have 100 years worth, nearly, of content, and then label it. Because again, like I'm saying, harking back to what I was saying before, the rise of the popularity of all the repeat channels, for want of a better word, because there's loads of them now. The fact that the British public seem to be sitting down in the evening watching the repeat channels to the Manor Born, Colditz, wherever it's going to be, that says a lot to me.
Yeah.
And why should the repeat channels? Yes, I know we'd put a lot of them out of business from this, but if you're looking at the BBC's shows, surely that should be a subscription service. I don't know. I think there's something there from a business model. I really, really do.
I have to recommend to our viewers, if I noticed it, I've said it many times, Talking Pictures TV is fantastic.
Oh, isn't it?
Lots of
fabulous?
Hartnell movies on there, lots of old telly, and they're going to show 60s Batman next month. Looking forward to that. So.
Oh, well, they do. Oh, do you know what?
Yeah.
That reminds me of. Do you remember when TVM went off air?
Yes, and they showed it. Yeah,
that huge blooming strike that went on for months and months and months. Remember, or was it years? I can't remember now, but it was in the 80s. And they started showing Batman every day, and I was late for school because I was.
Yeah,
it was great, lovely stuff. Yeah,
it was.
Right. So, what have we got to say to you guys in the chat? Thank you very much for joining us. Look at all this. Yes, Metal in Funk. Me too. Yeah, I am as well. So that's great there. Ducksuit Productions Centre was I thought myself as being slightly to the left of Lenin. I've been battling conservatives all my life. I never expected to be challenged by my own side. Yeah, I know exactly how you mean by that, and what you mean. It's very, it's like a slap to the face, isn't it? When you suddenly lose friends that you've had for years and years and years because you won't bend the knee because you've remained where you are and you refuse. Like in my case, I'm old-fashioned because I believe there are only men and women. I don't believe there are 452 or whatever it's going to be today.
That's also accurate and not just old-fashioned, though, isn't it? That is literally
there
the
are
truth.
facts involved. Yes, yeah,
yes. But we've had it aimed at this show as well.
Yeah.
Look at all these old-fashioned people who can't move with the times. You can't just make up a new world because you want it to be like that. You know, truth, fact, and biological state is there. You can't deny that. You can deny it, but you should be back. This is what happens basically when we close the lunatic asylums.
They can live in their little fantasy world if they want to. They can say that I'm a flower pot today and genuinely believe it, and that's absolutely fine. It doesn't bother me, and that's fine. It's when they say you must acknowledge that I am a flower pot, it must be your reality too. That's when they go to the wrong side of the line and have to back off, because I'm not going to do that. And I will not follow compelled speech. But that's what they want. That they want, we've said it before, they want tolerance whilst preaching intolerance. And they want everybody else to comply whilst refusing to comply with anything else.
Yeah.
And as for multiple genders, they're mentally ill. There's two.
Of course. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And you get all this pandered to. I mean, I'm at this point now where I just say close all the universities and the colleges because that's absolutely ridiculous. Decadent Dave, Robbie, thank you for telling us Child of a Time Lord was actually his favourite classic season. Nice to know. Thank you very much. And Decadent Dave, now steady on, son. Steady on here, because what you're saying here, I'd rather watch the Kardashians than Shooty dancing in a dress. Now listen, steady on. Just have
don't
a
get too far. Take it too far.
I mean, come on. But that was funny. This series deserves a D+, says Steve Hindley.
Presume that doesn't mean Disney.
No, I think that's D+.
Well, yeah, but careful what you wish for, really.
Yeah. And Nathan Adler Inc. Hello, nice to see you with the late great and much missed Bowie there. Ironic that Capaldi's last line in season 10 was "Doctor, I let you go," because most fans sadly did. I sometimes wonder at that, Nathan, now look at that line thinking a certain person sort of predicted it was coming, don't you? Because they did. And it wasn't just Capaldi, it was just a case of quite poetic, really, wasn't it? Lisa's joining us saying, sorry, I missed almost the entire stream. You haven't. We've got loads more to come yet, Lisa. So lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. And Moriarty is saying, hit the like button, folks. Yes, please do. I know that Kirsty's and Garbage are telling you what to do that. If you are new to the channel, welcome to Who's Views. Please subscribe. And if you haven't liked the video, please do. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. I want to get onto this thing that made me laugh. Honestly, this made me laugh because we're talking about bad ratings, both overnights and consolidated. We're talking about the fact that the great British public really, really don't care. So who the hell is this for? This was the news, wasn't it, just the other day there, that the 2-episode finale of The Legend of Ruby Sunday and The Empire of Death will be in cinemas, selected cinemas, and I think they are View cinemas from Friday the 21st of June. Now look at that. Again, following the Disney deal dictate, it's going to be 11 p.m. Now, as a few of you were saying in the chat there, the tickets are around about £20. I haven't gone and looked because really, quite frankly, I don't care. But bearing in mind that The Legend of Ruby Sunday, you would have seen the week before, you're then paying £20 to see it with the Empire of Death.
Yeah.
On the night it comes out. So they're going to show The Legend of Ruby Sunday at 11 o'clock. And then as soon as it's allowed to be seen by Disney's dictate as part of the deal at midnight, they'll just tune into the iPlayer.
Yeah.
And you'll watch it. What is that about? How many of you in the chat are going to go to this? And if you're watching, let me know. Call me now if you are going to be watching, if you are going to the cinema to do this, to watch this. I mean, guys, what did you make of this? Because after I'd stopped laughing, I just thought, this is desperate, really desperate.
Well, 10 years ago, like in the 50th, however long it is, 11 years ago, that may have worked. But now things have moved on. It's not, there's no audience. Yeah, it did work. People went to the cinema to watch it, which was great, you know. But I think there's nobody watching it, so there's going to be a lot of empty seats, isn't there? You know, and a lot of egg on faces, I think.
They might put it in the tiny little cinema, you know, not one of the major screens. But I doubt we'd fill
like
it.
A 5-seater cinema kind of thing.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to have to be in because, you know, I've seen The View publicizing this over the last couple of days on social media. The response from, and it is fans there, is very mixed. And I wouldn't even say it's 50-50. I think the actual, are you kidding me? And no, we're not coming to pay for this crap, outweighs the, oh, yes, I think I'll come along to this. This is great. Now, also, again, your audience, if you are looking at a very young audience, they're not going to be up and able to get to the cinema at 11 o'clock in the evening. You're going to have mum or dad or a responsible adult, hopefully, taking them there, which could, for some of them, also mean, if it's a View, a trip into a city.
Yeah.
Which means money. Have they thought about how they get home if they haven't got a car? Have they thought about the cost of parking in a city or at a View or anything? No, they haven't. All they've thought is, let's put this out there and try and make money from people. Exactly.
They don't care at all.
Yeah.
Like we said, who's this aimed at? Who's this aimed at? That's the thing.
Well, not the same audience that Space Babies was aimed at, obviously. Otherwise, it's 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they're doing this for at all. And they went on, and I'm not going to repeat it because you can look at it. These people from BBC Studios who think they're clever, going on and on about this. Oh, this is, oh man, no, it's not. It's a bloody rip-off. You're paying to see an episode that's free. You're paying to see it again. Then you're paying to see an episode that is coming out at the same time as the iPlayer because of the dictate from the Disney deal saying we have to have it first at this time. So therefore that equates to midnight. We see through this. We are not stupid. We see through this. And then to put it on in the cinema and say, right, you've got £20. And as I say, all I can feel is this is going to be a major flop, and good, quite frankly, good, because you cannot do that. Had it been something like a sensible time on the Friday evening, like at 7 o'clock, you may have got some parents saying to little kids, yes, we'll take you for that. And they would have put up with 2 hours of what is probably going to be insanity.
Yeah.
You know, I just think, what are they doing? Vinx 306, nice to see you. They had to find a way to make the ratings even lower.
Well, they keep diluting things by doing two different things. That's bizarre, isn't it? Really?
Shooty Fatwa is saying to us, I feel dirty for enjoying Jodie's run. Well, I hope you enjoy that.
And you should. You should feel dirty.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel dirty just thinking about watching it again, to be fair.
No, well, there you go.
Shooty.
And the Mecranon is saying, who's going to pay for this when folks aren't even watching it for free? Well, bearing in mind as well, it's not really free because they're paying for the service with the BBC, but I get what you're saying. That's the other thing about this, isn't it? I mean, this is dodgy as hell, BBC Studios. You know, they're paying a BBC TV license fee for this, which also covers the iPlayer, and then you're getting more money. I just don't understand this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they've not got a gun to people's heads to take them to the cinema. It's the people who want to go will go if they're daft enough to go, won't they? That's the thing. So
I am going to try and get figures for this to see how exactly it went.
You probably count them on one hand, probably. So
I can't see this being a huge success, and I can't see them making money from this. If they make money from this, I'll be surprised. I'm expecting either break even or loss, quite frankly.
Loss.
Quite frankly, depending, because they must have had to BBC Studios must have surely have had to pay The View to say how many screens can we have, because that's what happens, doesn't it? Right, okay, we'll have this many screens right here. Okay, here's your few million. Can you play this between this and that, and let's all market it together, and let's all be jolly, and hopefully, and you'll get all the money View cinemas from popcorn, overpriced popcorn, and overpriced drinks, and overpriced chocolate, and all that nonsense. But if they're not coming through the door, you're not going to. I said to The View, I did say to The View, on X, Doctor Who fans aren't going to come to this. You're going to get weirdos, so have bouncers.
Yeah.
Stuart Kerrigan, the cinema thing would be a maybe if they were giving away free tickets and popcorn. Actually, some alleged, I think it's coming up, but I think I heard a rumor, I'll state that right now, that a certain radio station, a BBC radio station, may be doing a competition on one of its shows where you can actually try and win it. Be interesting to see how that comes in. And Domgo is saying those cinemas will be quieter than a library with flesh-eating aliens. Digby is saying to us here, can I bring earplugs and a blindfold? Maybe. Yep.
Just don't go.
Richard, who the hell is going to watch this? Dancing in the Aisle with Shooty, maybe. Oh, God. We know who's going to go. It's the minority that are watching it on the iPlayer. They'll go back and watch it, and then they go back and watch it on BBC One, don't they? So they'll be up in a couple of hours' time here in the United Kingdom for the launch of 73 Yards. I wonder if they're still doing that or if it's drifted off. Has the novelty drifted off now? Are these young people saying, oh, hang on a minute, I'm fed up with it now. I'll just watch it when it's on the telly, or I'll watch it over my breakfast, or I'll watch it on Saturday afternoon. Or do you know what I mean? I wonder if it's going to do that. Yeah. Kev is saying it's not him. No. And Nathan Adler, Nathan Adler Inc. No one is watching at home. I'll get used to that, Nathan. Bear with me. RTD's ego wants to copy the Day of the Doctor cinema extravaganza, says Stuart. And Michael is saying no.
Even Moffat didn't pull that off these days because he's lost it as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But didn't they do a similar thing with Capaldi's finale for one of the seasons? The one with Missy? Didn't they do that in a cinema in 3D or something?
I don't know. I saw the first of the Dalek one at the film house in Edinburgh when they did. It was part of the television festival, and Moffat was there. They showed that at a small art house cinema. The first episode, The Magician's Apprentice, if that's what it's called. Yeah. But that was that small scale kind of industry type thing.
And you haven't got the fan base there anymore to go to this thing, have you? Because we were all told to go out and touch grass and not come back. Rob is saying to us here, I'm going to the cinema, already packed my bleach beverage. And Problem Being is saying to us, I'm not going to see it at the cinema. I don't want to die of loneliness. And that could possibly happen there, couldn't it? It could be awful, Moriarty is saying, I saw the 50th End cinema in Argentina, and there were lots of folk there. I doubt anywhere is going to have it this time round. I'm absolutely confident nobody's going to go there because
it's a bad move. It's just going to be a small group of sad gap wankers sat there watching it in the cinema. And they'll be watching it on the bloody iPhone as well, on the phone. Tuned into iTunes.
Here, it's £9.99, so 20 quid for Son and I. There you go. Thank you, Joe. £9.99. There you go. And Connor, hello, Connor. You got to be really confident it's going to be good to watch in cinema, not in this era. Yeah. It's not going to work for them, is it, everybody?
No.
And do you know what? I don't have any sympathy for them at all.
Why should you?
Exactly.
They deserve everything they get, really, to be fair.
Yeah. Because as we said, they had one job to do and they refused to do it. They could have done that easily. He could easily have said, we're going to have to bring all the fans back because they have to support the show. And had it been good, had it been back to where he'd been, say, 2008, with good stories, entertaining stories, great casts, good direction, plodding through, we would have done. I think fandom would have come back and give it a chance. Yeah. Had it been good, had it been strong, I think fandom would have then supported it. And then we would have sold it to other people on their behalf like we did in 2005. It's not happening because it's just nonsense. No one is watching at home, says Nathan. except you poor souls. Very true. Thank you for acknowledging that. I really, really appreciate
Good
that.
point. Yeah.
You sure aren't going to get anyone paying to watch it. Look forward to all the photos of the cinemas of one person in a Jodie costume watching. Yeah, that's exactly the audience that's going to go, isn't it? Let's face it. Yeah. And
They're
Barry's
not going
with
to go dressed as Shooty because they won't know what the hell to wear, will they?
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Well, you turn up anything you like and pretend you're that particular doctor. It's awful. Barry Stroud, nice to see you. Hail. I liked how the cinema had displayed a countdown, letting us know when it was all finally over. Oh, does it? I haven't seen that. I don't know. That's good to know. Thank you for that one as well. But yeah, lots of comments coming in. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Paul Roughton is saying to us, I'm going to go to the cinema for sure. They're going to re-show The Search for Spock. Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this. I will go and see that one as well. I went to see The Wrath of Khan at the cinema again. I think it was last year, and that was just fantastic. But thank you very much for joining us, everybody. You know we appreciate it. So love it, love it, love it. For those of you who are going to the cinema, though, you might want to actually seek out some therapy and some guidance after you've been to see it and after being ripped off with all the usual popcorn. That might make you ill. The episodes themselves might make you ill. And if that's the case, you know that we are always here at Whose Views to take your hard-earned grosses. Yeah, so what I'm thinking now is if you are going to the cinema, to see those 2 episodes, have you already bought your tickets? Because I think they're available now. I want you to phone me. I want you to phone me right now. Tell me, are you going? Are you going to see this? No. Say?
We need to get tumbleweeds for this show, you know.
I don't think anybody is going to this. Oh. Let's see who it is. Let's see who's going to see this at the cinema. What shall we? This is just ridiculous, isn't it? Hello, Whose Views Headlines Hotline. Are you going to the cinema to see Doctor Who?
Yeah, I'll have a small chips, a hamburger, and what was that, love? Yes, and a Scotch egg, please.
Oh, okay, thanks. Bye. Obviously a wrong number there. But should have asked him, shouldn't I? Are you going? I don't think he was going to go. Do you?
No.
What, the Scotch egg?
No. Well, thank you for that. If you are going to the cinema, I hope you enjoy it.
Chips sound great, I have to say.
No, not at all. But well, I don't know. But again, it's just desperation, isn't it, really? Moriarty, I'm going to a pub across the street from the cinema, says Moriarty. Okay. Domgo wants to know, Scotch egg? Yeah. Explain what a Scotch egg is.
It's an egg that's wrapped in meat, and it's got wrapped in breadcrumbs. Boiled egg.
Yeah.
Sausage meat, isn't it?
Yeah, sausage meat, yeah. Gives me indigestion last time I had one. I must admit.
Was that something from the Zygons, says Domgo? Very probably, actually. Right, Shooty is
the controls looked like Scotch eggs, didn't they?
A little bit, yeah. Or mini pizzas, yeah. So,
yeah. Shooty is saying to me, I've noticed no one really mentions Millie. How has she been? Well, let's move forward and talk about this, because of course this is Millie Gibson, and from what we can tell, she's going to be the star of the next episode of Doctor Who, which is of course 73 Yards. We believe that this is this sounds silly in a series which is only 8 episodes long, but we believe this could be the Dr. Light episode.
Yeah. It's been Dr. Light since Christmas, hasn't it, to be fair?
No, as usual,
beg your pardon.
2017.
Yeah. As usual, Who viewers, I went out to look at the TV guides this week to see how they were all covering 73 Yards, and I was shocked because not many of them are bothering. I have this one, which is a very small article from What's on TV, which is a very bizarre photograph. It looks like somebody's just stuck up in a Claire at Shooty there in front of a camera. But yes, we got that particular one. We have this from TV and Satellite Week. Now, the picture on the right is actually what you can see on the left. I've just blown it up for you there. And that was it. There was something in the Radio Times, which was the usual little teeny weeny thing again, but no double page spread this time, no big publicity, nothing about it at all, about 73 yards, which I thought was interesting. This was from radiotimes.com. Doctor Who 73 yards review. Millie Gibson has time to shine in haunting mystery. Yep, they go on 4 out of 5 stars there from the radiotimes.com. Leave everything you think you know about Doctor Who at the TARDIS door for 73 yards. You won't need it where we're going. 4 episodes in, and season 14 is well and truly into its stride, which means it's time for a trip, for a trip to the sunny Welsh coast. The TARDIS materializes on a beautiful cliff top with the Doctor and Ruby ready for an adventure. Only it ends up being a much darker and much stranger trip than either of them had expected. After Stephen Moffat's widely praised chamber piece boom, 73 yards couldn't be much more different, diving headfirst into horror for the first time this season for a surprisingly dark folk tale. At the heart of the episode is a chilling mystery involving a woman seen in the distance, but there's much more to the journey than that. Thankfully, much has been kept under wraps about 73 yards. It's one of the most mysterious episodes of the season so far. And unlike the first 3, we still don't know a huge amount about the plot, something that pays off. For those waiting to watch any time after that midnight release, you'll want to stay spoiler-free now more than ever. In terms of the cast, it's an absolute masterclass from Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. The actress has already had plenty of time to shine in the first 3 episodes of season 14, but none more so than now, with a new challenge thrust upon her in pretty much every sequence. It's an absolute treat when the companions get to shine, and now is exactly the right time in the season for it, showing off Ruby's intelligence, wit, and resilience. Gibson easily takes us through confusing sequences, tense moments, and brutally soul-crashing scenes, as well as bringing her signature humour to the show, once again proving why she was the perfect choice for the role. Elsewhere, Dame Sian Phillips certainly doesn't disappoint as Enid, and Aneurin Bernard is all too convincing as Roger ap Gwilym. Here's hoping we'll encounter him again at some point. 73 yards is certainly not perfect, and fans will be coming out the other side with a lot of unanswered questions. While some of them could have been explained better in the episode, others add to the riddle of the story. Executed well enough that we don't mind a little mystery remaining at the end, but there is a limit. There are many who will argue against Doctor Who leaning more into the fantasy. It's not always a perfect fit and can cause a few moments that feel like a cop-out. We've had plenty of them over the years. After all, fantasy needs to have its rules too. But at the same time, when done well, it opens up a whole new world for Doctor Who and a sense of freedom needed for the series to thrive long after its 60th birthday. 73 yards may not be faultless on that front, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. And I think we can all argue the point that it bloody well needs it.
What a surprise! There's going to be no explanation. Or be left things left unanswered because he can't write properly anymore.
I don't see anything that's in that makes me think this is exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Well, I've said before, I'm excited about it for the simple reason it's got Dame Sian Phillips, who I love and adore. She's in it, and also Aneurin Bernard, who was my choice for the new Doctor Who until it was announced that Shooty Gatwa got it, and who I lost 20 quid on. But he was my choice for the Doctor because I think he's brilliant. I'm also looking forward to the fact that it is a sort of Welsh folklore-y, legendy type thing. I think that fits Doctor Who. I like that sort of things, you know. But whether or not it's executed properly in this particular version, we will find out, because it's going to be. It's not long until it's going to be dropped on iPlayer, but I'll be watching it tomorrow on BBC One at my family's.
It's got, I mean, like you said, it's got potential. If it's going to be creepy or atmospheric, then great. But I don't think they can pull it off, really. I think Sian Phillips will be superb, and she always is. But I think it looks like a rehash of Midnight, but it's in a pub rather than on a bus, you know. But
they're not going to go for horror, though, are they? They're really.
No.
They're saying it is. It's going to be as scary as Frozen, probably. It's not.
Yeah, and Shooty will sing "Let It Go" at the very end just to finish off.
Would it surprise you though if he did? Really? From what we've seen already.
Richard is saying here, I hear the third act has been edited badly and is missing huge chunks of explanation. If that's the case, that's probably why the Radio Times have said you're not going to get all the answers. That's great, Richard. Thank you for that. Don't forget, we'll be talking about this on Sunday. Domgo is saying to us, the day RTD returns spoiled Doctor Who for me, so it's too late already. I wonder how many other people now, episode 4, and bearing in mind it's been, 3 weeks, because we had 2 on one day.
Yeah.
How many others will say, nah, it's not for me. It's not for me. It's too late. It had its chance. I'm not interested. I'm going to go out. Darren Apken is saying to us, I'm looking forward to this one, the Blair Welsh project. I know what you're saying there. That's the reason I'm looking forward to it, Darren. But I was looking forward to Boom, and it didn't pay off too much for me. So Stephen is saying to us here, please let this be an episode like Horror of Fang Rock or Image of the Fendal. Please, please, we need a game-changing episode.
We need an episode of Doctor Who.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
We
Yeah,
haven't had one for years.
I know, since 2017, you know.
Yeah.
I share Stephen's ambition here about something similar in a similar vein, but I don't think they have the ability now to write classics such as Horror of Fang Rock or Image of the Fendal, because that would mean having to work.
And to actually try and scare people, you know. But
yeah, and of course, as I say,
yeah,
that would now be problematic because they don't like to do that sort of stuff anymore. By the like of it, it's got to be twee and it's got to be all happy, plinky ponky at the end and all that nonsense. Duck Soup Productions is saying to us here, it sounds like a remake of Terror of the Zygons. I know what you mean by that. It had that, but will it be? I don't know. And Divine Dragon is saying to us here, I'm spinning so fast I'm going to vomit. Thriving? Question mark, says Problem Being.
So is Millie going to do a Linda Blair in it? Then that'll be interesting.
I don't know.
She's so good, they booted her.
Yeah. Sorry, JT, I kind of zoned out there, says Brian. Yeah, that could be me tomorrow if it doesn't captivate me. That'll be me again, going sort of like, oh no. Garbage is saying to us, the only thing I like about it is CGI light, and that's a good thing. They've really, really tried to push that whole CGI stuff, haven't they, really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at us, we've got money and effects and stuff like this. Oh.
But it's not really come through, has it? I mean, there's the little bits, but nothing major, is it really?
No, they could do that on what the BBC was giving them.
Yeah.
More mystery box nonsense, says Problem Being. Poor Anurin, he was my choice for the Doctor too. I know he was, mate. Yeah, absolutely. We had that discussion, didn't we? And Andrew
Did you ever
Murphy,
bet the Problem Being? Is that who you lost it to?
No, I lost it because I was stupid enough to put it on. And Andrew Murphy, nice to see you. Doctor Who going in theatres will be a slow night for the popcorn machine. I feel sorry for the staff that will have to be there till 1 o'clock in the morning or something because of this. Maybe a bit over again because they're going to have to get home as well, aren't they? And they're going to have to look at that because not everybody drives. And with the views only being in cities, as I say. Oh, bless. I can't see that. Richard is saying to us, as a Welshman, I can confirm we don't like twerking fishermen dress snobs in our village. Okay. And Eastlyn, nice to see you. Can anyone write on a modern writing room? No.
Well, they have a writing room, don't they, for all the episodes?
Oh, I see. Oh, yes. Yeah, correct. Can anyone write in a modern writing room? No, that was a typo. Oh, there we go. No, because they're all, as we're alluding to there, they're all taking it on for DEI reasons now, in my opinion.
It can't be really called a writing room anymore, can it? To be fair, they don't do much writing in there, do they?
No. Yeah, and when you're looking at people as well, like we had an article on one of our previous headlines, didn't we, where an alleged journalist from an alleged newspaper was going on about, oh, there's not many people of colour and there's not many diverse people writing anymore, is there? And that's the problem. They're giving the writing duties to people that just bloody can't write, but tick a box to shut up all these idiots that are around now that are pure racist or phobes themselves or ots themselves, but they think they're better than the rest of us when actually they're creating the issues. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Paul is saying, if Bernard was playing the Doctor, at least we would have a better lead actor, even if the story was crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Digby wants to know, Doctor Who is at his best when it explains fantasy with science. This is just fantasy, which is in sci-fi, is a massive letdown. I mean, we have to wait and see, don't we, about what this is going to be like.
I think, as we said, if this is Doctor Light as well, it's a bizarre thing you do mid-season. Your actor's only been in it for 5 minutes, and you're taking him out of it. It's just stupid.
Well, why do it when there's only 8 episodes?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's just our theory, isn't it? That because it's a vehicle for Millie. But it does seem totally bizarre thing to do, and I don't understand why.
Because he's not, for me, I've said already, he's not made an impact as the Doctor for me at all. And if you take him out of it, there's no chance of doing that if he's not there. It's crazy.
Well, totally. I mean, he's still new to the audience, and because we got 2 episodes on the one night, they have robbed us of that week of trying to get to know him. And when you've got people like myself coming back, and I'm not alone in this, I know a lot of the Who viewers are the same, and we're coming back waiting for the Doctor to appear. This is the longest I've waited for any actor to really nail the Doctor for me.
It should be called Doctor. It should be called Doctor Where rather than Doctor Who. I think.
Yeah. Well, having said that, as I've said before on the channel, I did have problems with Tennant, and it was only in his 3rd series that I actually got to like him as the Doctor. Although I did see elements of the Doctor coming through in his 1st and 2nd season. It took me the 3 years to be able to go, yeah, okay, and that was the season he was going. Yeah, really. Yeah. So I just thought, okay, maybe it'll be the same for Shooty, but at the moment, I'm not even engaged enough by the stories to even want to know if I'm going to get to know him.
Yeah.
I know it's because I have a personal feeling this is the last one ever. Yeah. Really. Millie Wig Z. I have a feeling most of the mystery will be hidden in Welsh in the background, or maybe a language barrier. Okay. And Gareth Morgan is saying to us, stories like Horror of Fang, Rock, and Image of the Fendal could never be remade. Good Doctor Who ended in the 80s. No argument from me there, Gareth. Yeah. No argument from me. Although I did like certain things of the new series, like the Satan Pit.
Yeah.
In 2006. I like that episode. And what was it called? The Impossible Planet, which was the one before it or something like that. Those 2 parts. It's written by a good writer as well, with Matt. Good writer. And it shows you, doesn't it, really, when they take it seriously, how they could possibly bring something off. Because that had tone, it had excitement, it had adventure, it had a mystery, quite creepy, a bit spooky, and for I imagine the younger ones a bit scary.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
with that big devil.
Well, a lot of the good episodes from those early years were written by people that just aren't engaged anymore. Yeah, they don't get them to write episodes anymore. They blacklist them or whatever, or seem to, allegedly.
Well, yeah, because again, to be quite honest as well, none of them will fit the demographics that they now have to comply with, which again is alienating the audience. Because again, fans and the audience, mainly the audience, can see something nonsense and they switch off. They'll go, "What is this?" They are now actually along the lines of Tom Baker by going, "This is whippet shit." Or more, aren't they? Really, he was ahead of his time, but I think the British public have caught up with him now. Domgo is saying
had the acting skills to lift whippet shit into a good episode.
Yeah,
Shooty can only play Shooty Gatwa. He is Shooty Gatwa appearing as Shooty Gatwa, the male model, or the insert today's gender here model.
Well, in the photographs of the new episode 73 Yards, he looks like he's on the set of Country File or something, doesn't he?
Oh right, well, maybe.
Or Emmerdale Farm.
Yeah, Emmerdale. Yeah. Kev is saying to us the effects look too overdone. The value of this current series may be that it's a great substitute for sleeping pills, says Duck Soup Productions. Yes, if you're looking to invest in something, that might be the one to
cure
go
for insomnia. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, look, Stephen is reminding us that The Nightmare Man was horror masterpiece. They have it on DVD. Celia Emery, of course.
Lovely. Yeah,
the lovely Celia Emery. Hi, Celia.
Directed by Douglas Camfield as well. Fantastic stuff.
It was. Nice piece of television for its day. I bet you it's only a matter of time until that appears on one of these repeat channels.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that would get better viewing figures because it takes a little while to get into it. But when you get into it, it's cracking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really based on a book, isn't it? Child of the Voginoi or something. It's
something like that.
Absolutely cracking series. It scared the crappers out of me. You wonder what the hell it was.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a good cast as well. Yeah.
It was brilliant. The guy who was the lead mercenary in Caves of Androzani was in it, wasn't he?
Maurice Reeves,
Maurice Reeves. Yeah, he was in that. But I wonder if it's still available on DVD. If you haven't seen The Nightmare Man and you can source it, I think we all recommend it here on the panel. And
Yeah.
Celia Emery's brilliant in it as well, because she's actually quite known for comedy, but she's a brilliant actress. She's done some great films in her time.
And it's one of her earliest tellies as well, I think.
I think it was, wasn't it? And wasn't it produced by BBC Scotland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah. Which is a rare thing. Gatwa won't get 3 full years as Divining Dragon. Well, he's done his first 2, as we know. I think he will get a 3rd year, whether that be a series just produced by the BBC Studios with somebody else or whatever. We're soon going to know, because at some point Disney will cough up and say we're in or out. Kieran, hello, Kieran. Where did the real Doctor go? We, the fans, do not know. It's been hijacked by the bi, gay, no storyline or real dark plot input. I'm sad every time I see it. It's total bull. Yes. Oh, I know, Kieran. I know. I think a lot of us are in the same boat, aren't we now? But do you know what? Here on Who's Views, make sure you subscribe and make sure you come and sit with us when we go through all this crap, this series, and we talk about it all. And
there's more broad to come. We're only halfway through it.
I'm for one glad that everybody joins us on a Sunday night to get me through it, because I don't think I could cope. I really don't think so. When I'm watching the thing on Saturday night, I say, at least we're going to have people with us on Sunday night to talk about it.
You keep apologizing to your family, to your mum and your sister.
Oh, it's embarrassing, isn't it? One of our doctors is missing, says Steve Hinley, based on a fabulous, ironically, Disney film. And what's Connor saying to us here? Pressure on Shooty, though, because if Millie shines when she's the focus in this one, it will show him up more. Oh, that's a good point. Remember that point?
Cake match.
They'll just cry again.
Yeah. Well, remember that point for Sunday. Because, as I say, we are going to be coming back. Yeah, we are going to be coming back to talk about it live at 8 o'clock on this very channel. We are going to be looking at Part 4 of Disney Who, 73 yards. Oh,
what did Bedweir say that pub sign actually translated as?
I don't know, but I've got it written somewhere. It's
I think it's like a load of old crap or something like that. I think
the dog's arse or something.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But we've got it. I think it's actually explained. I think it's explained in the show as well.
Is it dead wood or something? He said, was it something like that?
Something.
Yeah, they
like
want
that.
it to be one thing, but actually it's something else, isn't it?
Yeah. My heart bleeds for this terrible viewing, says Kieran. Yeah, but we all come back on Sunday and we'll cheer ourselves up with our look. We've got a lot in the show, haven't we? For you, we've got the ratings game, we've got scores on the TARDIS doors. We've got the Wokeometer in there as well. And we've got chit chat from the Who-tastic panel. What more can you want? Where else would you be on a Sunday evening? That's where you've got to come. Come and join us and cheer me up. Yes. Yokai63, the Nightmare Man, proper TV horror. Well done, Bob Holmes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the other selling point, I think, on that as well. Of course, we've got to mention him. And Sneveron Sykes. Shooty has all the authority, dignity, and gravitas of someone you'd find working in a Basildon nail bar.
The nail bar doctor, that's what it's called now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Scathing. Oh, but no, listen. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you can tell from how we suddenly dip down here. We're not really invested, and we're not alone. You know, we're doing it because, as Garbage is saying here, this season has been special, but not for the reasons that they seem to think. Yeah, just Jordan is saying to us, yeah, dead wood, but as in the material rather than woods as in the trees. Okay. I hope your dad's coping. Especially
Happy birthday.
Another slice of cake.
Cake, lovely.
Yeah. And hello to Gilliam, who's with us as well, saying pub. Oh no, Richard, don't be telling me things. I hear he sings at the end of 33 yards as well. No. I'll blame you if it does tomorrow. Oh, I went into that Vicar of Dibley character. No.
Yes.
That wouldn't be allowed today either, quite frankly.
No,
Vicar of Dibley. Yeah. What's this? Mark is asking us your thoughts on BBC buying ITV shares in BritBox. Will that become the new BBC streaming service?
There's not much point, is there? Like you say, use the iPlayer. Yeah.
If they have done that, and that's the thing, then they are stupider than I think, because they've already got it there.
Yeah.
As I keep saying,
buying the majority share to close it.
Yeah. One thing's for sure, it's very obvious to me that they're getting ready for the license fee to be axed, and I think that's sooner rather than later. I can't see a Labour government doing it. Yeah. I can't see a Labour government doing it if we get 4 years of them. However, we might get a hung parliament where Labour is with somebody that's actually sensible. So who knows what could come out of that?
Not
It's
the Lib
all...
Dems then.
No,
God, no, absolutely. Please avoid. Anyway, we won't get too political. Red Moon Industries, hello to you. It's nice to see you. There's something out there even worse than all the Who fans are dealing with. How long till studios deem it okay for a season to be less than 6 episodes? That's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. Now, is this because, guys, do you think that they're saying, oh, no, a series needs to be 6 or 8 episodes because the attention spans aren't there?
It's because that's the format that Disney has, isn't it? Mainly, most of their programs are 8 episodes long, and that's what they go with. So it's a template from them, isn't it? That's why they're copying that, I would say. No?
What do you think, Ian?
I think it'd probably go along the lines of what Paul was saying, really. I have to agree on that one.
Because it can't be money. It can't be anything to do with money at all. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I don't know. Well, listen, yeah, we're going to be doing it. As you can tell, we're all thrilled. But we are going to be watching 73 Yards. It's 10 o'clock here in the UK live at the moment. You've got 2 hours until it arrives on the iPlayer. If you are one of the few that are going to be watching it on the iPlayer at midnight, I hope you enjoyed the episode. For those of you who are sticking around to watch it on BBC One tomorrow at a sensible time, I hope you enjoy the episode. And for those of you who are not watching the episode, I am really jealous. Really jealous. But we're going to be doing it just for you and just for this channel. And we will be back, as I say, live here on Who's Views with our review of 73 Yards at 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. Please come and join us. Don't let me do it alone. Yes, come and join us.
You're never alone, JT. You're never alone.
No.
We'll be here to look after you. Don't you worry.
Yeah. But we want to know your views. You know, it's very important to us. Listen, thanks to Dr. Ian. Thank you for Paul. Thank you for all that tonight. The ratings are going down. We've predicted what we expect 73 Yards to do. We're going to be talking about that in the show on Sunday. Who is going to win the acclaimed Who's Views pencil? I'm more gripped by that than I am. But I've got my fingers crossed. It's got 2 of my favorite actors in this. And I just hope they just didn't take the money. I hope they saw the script and liked it.
I wonder what activity the lesbians will be doing this week. I wonder.
I don't know, and quite frankly, I am not too bothered. But you know, the whole thing about that is as well that you know they won't be able to do it in a pub anymore because, of course, all the lesbian bars now have men in them. But that's for another discussion on another show. We'll be back on Sunday. If you're in the UK, have a great weekend. If you're not in the UK, have a great weekend. It's the bank holiday here. I hope we've kicked it off in style for you, but look after yourselves. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. Thank you to Kirsty and Garbage in the chat. Thank you all for being in the chat with us as well. We'll be back on Sunday at 8 when we will all be taking 73 yards.
Yeah.
See you
that's
then.
not an hours.
I know.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.